Thank you. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Brittany, could we get a roll call? Or somebody, could we get a roll call?
Thank you. So we're going to be welcoming Brittany today to the meeting, so we're going to walk her through roll call. So typically we just go left to right. Commissioner Carey,
Here.
Commissioner Batterson. Here. Chair Velasco.
Here.
Commissioner Lee. Here. Commissioner Molina. Here. Thank you.
Thank you. If I can get an approval of the minutes for October 11 meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. I didn't have any public comment slips, but do we?
Yeah, we have one quick introduction presentation. Scott, do you want to introduce Alejandro?
Everyone that hasn't really big.
Yeah, and make sure the mic
For
is
the
on.
recording, we need the mic.
And neither of them have theirs on.
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, okay. Hello, everyone. Scott Christian. I'm here to introduce Alejandro. Alejandro started, 3 weeks ago? You're going to get to talk here in a minute. So, he is our new urban forest technician. He comes with a background in education in trees. He's worked for Bartlett Tree, for Davy Tree, and for the city of San Luis. So he is a credentialed arborist, and so he was certainly doing his job today. So we're really happy to have him.
Hi, it's a pleasure to meet you all. My name's Alejandro. I'm really glad to be a part of the team, and I look forward to meeting you all at a further time in person.
Thank you for coming and introducing yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
welcome.
Thank you. Alejandro's a local guy, so he's a Santa Maria guy, so we're happy to have him on board.
Nice. And just a reminder, if you're speaking, to turn your microphone on, especially if we're voting. Just a reminder. New business, 5A, smoke and tobacco-free outdoor areas, model ordinance presentation.
Yeah, Commissioners, thank you. Last meeting, we took the opportunity to hand out a model ordinance that was presented by the Santa Barbara County Public Health Smoke Cessation Program. And they're here today to kind of walk you through some updates to that, and then also to kind of explain the rationale behind it. After the presentation, we can talk a little bit more about the process for us. Thank you. So, Renata?
I'm Eva. Renata couldn't be here. My name is Eva Avila. I work for tobacco prevention and cannabis education with the county. I'm also a resident of Santa Maria, so representing here. So we're going to be speaking today on secondhand smoke, and then I have Donna Kingsley Smith from Fighting Back Santa Maria. We work a lot together, especially in prevention. So does anybody remember this image? So we've come a long way in the tobacco policy world. You know, we used to have commercials and cartoons that depicted smoking, and you know, we've come a long way. Public schools, hospitals, office, you know, everyone has now implemented, can you hear me? Yeah, has implemented smoke-free policies. In 2016, City of Santa Maria adopted an outdoor smoke-free for the parks, and they did a great job. I actually just surveyed the parks earlier this year in April, and your city rangers are doing a great job. Your city staff is doing a great job. There was minimal tobacco waste. So what we know is that signage works, media works, and just promoting smoke-free works with our community. Our community wants to work on this. I think that they respect the rules and the laws. And so what's next? Dun, dun, dun. Cannabis. So this is probably the #1 complaint we get now at the Tobacco and Cannabis Office. We've done a good job with tobacco. A lot of cities have gone smoke-free, but cannabis is new. It's new territory. What we know is that the secondhand smoke dangers are the same with cannabis. And it seems to be, there's this thought that it's very normal to smoke outside. What we've been doing is surveying just community members, community organizations, and even businesses, and it's being seen as a nuisance. Nobody likes it. Like I said, it's the #1 complaint, especially in apartment complexes. Some apartment complexes have smoke-free laws or policies, and so then therefore we can provide support and just remind the landlords, but not all of them are. But what we can do as a city is talk about smoke-free outdoors. So I had Brittany hand out a sample model ordinance. We would add this. It would be an, what do you call it, amendment? And it would include recreational areas, which we already have, service areas, outdoor dining, places of employment, public event areas, and public places. There's also room for, we don't have to include everything, but we would like to include everything, because as Donette will tell you right now, this is really important for prevention, especially with our youth. We need to denormalize smoking.
Hi, everyone. I'm Donnette Kingsley-Smith from Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley, and I oversee all of our prevention programs. So we are constantly working with youth, educating them, and talking to them about the risks associated with all substance use, especially underage while their brain is still developing. What we're seeing is that the perception of harm for vaping, because they think it's aerosol, or for cannabis use because they think it's less harmful than tobacco, we are seeing a huge decrease in perception of harm. And so why is this happening? This is happening because they're seeing it being normalized. Everybody's doing it. Not only are they seeing it on social media, but they're seeing it in their community. And I think that's why this ordinance is really important, is because we need to set the tone for them. We need to limit how much that they see this and how much this is normalized in their community, because they're seeing it everywhere and they think that it's healthy. They think that it's good. They think that like the myths around the health of cannabis use is just ridiculous, and they don't really know the harms. So I think it's our job as community members to educate our youth, but also to create a space that this is denormalized. So I really encourage you guys to move forward with this ordinance.
There's been a lot of cities that have implemented smoke-free outdoors. So this is just an example of different cities. Our UC system, so all UCs throughout California are smoke-free. They're completely smoke-free campuses. You'll see Laguna Beach, you'll see Long Beach, and then you'll start seeing our neighboring cities. So Carpinteria, City of Santa Barbara, Solvang, Guadalupe, and County Unincorporated are all smoke-free. So what are next steps? This is an example of a signage that we can provide. We've provided some signage for the Parks and Recs to provide support, and we're ready to provide more signage for the City of Santa Maria. So we are hoping that you can push this to the Ordinance Committee. Tobacco Prevention is willing to provide signage. We also have funds for media. If we get the word out there, people will follow. And then as far as Recs and Park, we brought a DOJ grant idea to them, and they applied. And so the plan is, or the idea would be, that a city ranger could do this. It wouldn't, impact our police department. This is more of a city issue, and it's a public space issue. And it already worked with our cities, or with our parks, and so we see this being able to work with the general, public area. And that's it. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Lee?
It's not so much a question, but a comment. First of all, I commend you and thank you. But I'm thinking more on a more general scale, if your efforts, as well as other efforts throughout the community, can focus on personal responsibility, pride in our communities, making intelligent, ethical decisions. As an example, I've been really seeing a rise in littering.
Yeah.
So, when you're doing your marketing, somehow let's group together and focus on things like that as well. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Badger.
Great presentation.
Carrie.
Thank you.
I have a question from our meeting last month about the ordinance for the Ranger compliance for retail. Is that in line with this? Is that the DOJ grant you mentioned? Okay.
Yeah. So we're hoping to, correct me if I'm wrong, train 2 park rangers who are going to be like the leads. And then, they can cover each other. We will do the training as far as tobacco retailing and also explain what the ordinance would mean, what the laws mean, and just make sure that they're ready and feel comfortable to go out there.
Okay. I noticed there was no action. Is this just, yes, let's go ahead and proceed with getting something drafted, or?
Yes, so the next step from here would be for you to ask staff to go ahead and start the process. And that process would be to work with the city attorney's office to figure out how this might be, prepared. The draft ordinance that is provided, is pretty lengthy. The little outline here is probably the way that, our city attorney likes to keep things pretty brief, so we'll work on that. But in general, the next step is to set up some time with city attorney and bring the issue forward. If the commissioners are supportive of such an ordinance, then we can start the process. So you don't really need a motion, but if I can get the California nod, then we'll be good.
So it sounds like we'd like to continue with
Okay.
this.
No
And
objections from anyone? Okay, thank you. So that'll be the next
you.
step that we do.
Thank you.
Eva, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Perfect. We'll be in touch. Thank
Donette,
you so much.
thanks.
Thank you. So, continuing with new business, the sports complex conceptual design, which we see up here, and then we also
Yay.
have here on our dais.
Yes, so thank you very much. I want to thank the team that's behind me here from the Wallace Group, who were the consultant team hired to create the project. So I am going to, Suzanne, are you going to handle that, the presentation part? Okay, so you want to go to that podium and go from there? Because you'll have to be mic'd, and that's the only mic. Yeah, oh, that one too, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. You can use that mic or that mic, either one. And, yeah, sorry, we're not set up for good technical stuff. I think it's on automatic, I believe. Yes, there you go.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Again, my name is Suzanne Baird. I'm a landscape architect with the Wallace Group, and I'm joined today by 2 of my associates on the design team, Ann Seaver, senior landscape architect, and Esau Blanco, who's a senior civil engineer at the Wallace Group. And we're very excited to present to you the conceptual site plan of the Santa Maria Sports and Community Park. As you know, the Central Coast, and in particular Santa Maria, is undergoing tremendous growth. And as a result of it, there's been a greater demand being placed on the city resources, services, and parks, creating a shortage of sports fields and a need for more parks, outdoor recreational facilities, and open green space for people to enjoy. Which is why we're here today to talk about the Sports and Community Park and how it will address the current and future needs of the city of Santa Maria and its community. The design I'm presenting today is a compilation of many things. We met with the Recs and Park Department and also with Public Works, and while with them, we reviewed and determined the desired site amenities and elements which would help fulfill the needs of the community. We discussed, in addition to site elements, we discussed access and circulation, and additional considerations included making sure that the park is accessible to all, age-appropriate to all, and that we use sustainable designs in our practices. In addition, our company has visited many of the parks in Santa Maria. In fact, we visited 28 in all. And by doing so, we got a really good feel for what your parks are like, how they're used, how they're not used, what seems successful, and where improvements can be made. And so as I walk through the design process with you, we just wanted to let you know what went into creating the final design that we're presenting. First of all, I'd like to discuss the site itself for just a brief moment. As you can see, I know your handouts are a little small, but as you can see, the site is bounded on the north end by West Stoll, on the south end by West Battle. On the east side, it is South Depot, and on the west side is the future Blosser Ranch development. If you'll also notice, the site is very linear, very long, which has its own issues in terms of design, but we kind of decided to look to it as an opportunity to create something a little special. Rather than approach it as a long linear site, with a runway kind of approach, we decided to give it some curves. So we did that in terms of the access drive. We have smooth, large curves, and with some of the pathways and the sidewalks, particularly the sidewalk on West Stoll, we've created a meandering path along with a 1-mile meandering path that goes through the entire facility. We felt by doing that, we're creating not only a sports complex, but a community park that has a park-like green feel to it. And we feel it's very important that not only are we providing the amenities, but that we continue to provide green open space for everyone to enjoy. In terms of access, there are going to be actually 3 ways to access the park. The first 2 are West Battles and on West Stoll. And the third future access will be from the Blosser Ranch, and that is La Brea Avenue. All 3 of these access points converge in the center where we are at this point putting a traffic circle. And at the same time in that area will be a central plaza, which will be the main hub to the park. I'll talk about the Central Plaza in just a second, but I did want to mention that from that central axis, we have designed 4 soccer fields at this point, 2 on either side, and there are 2 additional hubs that will help service those areas. The Central Plaza has a lot of the site amenities, and it's very important that it acts as a place to welcome all the guests that are going to be at the park. In terms of the amenities, we have a drop-off area where people can come in, pull in, drop off their children, drop off equipment that they have, and then continue on either to whether it's to Stoll's or back to Battles or up to La Brea. In that area, we in the Central Island, there will be what we hope is a sculpture, maybe something kinetic, showing motion, just as we have in the parks. Things are moving forward. There are other opportunities there for art installations, including a covered path, which includes big square arches that are colorful and bold. They can also have local artists, each one be an individual item that a local artist does. And the last opportunity that we see is a seat wall by the playground, which could be something that an artist, local artist, works with children of the area and local residents to create. Within the Central Plaza, there's the drop-off area. There is also a playground, which is for all ages. There is a large covered gathering area for picnicking for large groups. We also have games, including cornhole, ping pong, and a DG area, and an adult fitness area. In addition to that, there will be a restroom and a large concession stand. And if you notice to the, I guess that's to the east, there is a large grassy area where we thought it could be anything from an area to help the teams, warm up or be staged. It could also be an area where if you do decide to do tournaments at any point, pop-up tents could go up there. So it's flex green space that will provide many opportunities for you. The soccer fields, obviously, they are one of the largest and most prominent site amenities. But instead of just making them, ducks in a row, we arranged them so that they are not quite all together, and we also are going to have them slightly lower than in elevation than the rest of the site amenities adjacent to that. A couple of reasons for that. One is that we hope to be able to create some berming around the perimeter of the fields, and by doing that, instead of having to build bleachers and that kind of thing, spectators can sit on top of this knoll and look down and actually see the game. It also might help keep a few of the balls in the field instead of in the parking lot. Next to each soccer field, actually next to each pair of soccer fields, there is a grassy area which can be used as a warm-up area. It's actually at the bottom of the second of each hub. And the other thing that we did is we created small covered picnic areas next to each field so that teams could use them during games for snacks afterwards or for team meetings. And when there aren't any games, it's a perfect place for a family to come or a group of families to come and have and enjoy a picnic in the park. So in addition to the central plaza, which, like I say, is probably the heart of the park, we have 2 additional plazas. And we did that in order to spread some of the amenities throughout the park rather than having everything in just one spot. We've included in each of them a restroom. And if you'll notice, there is also parking that's adjacent to, on each end, one close to Battles and one close to Stoll, to make it convenient if you have, if your child has a game at one field, you don't have to park all the way across the park, but schlepping all of your stuff, chairs and things like that, and with each of these hubs, what we've included in the current design are 2 half basketball courts and futsal, in addition to the restroom. And in the hub that you're looking at right now, there is additional hardscape area, which we are considering flex space. It could be anything from pop-up yoga classes to anything else, whatever we decide. It could even be more adult, more games or something like that. In terms of the sustainability of the design, we've tried to approach it in a lot of ways. As you notice, all of the drives are tree-lined. Wherever possible, we have put in trees and plantings, and they will be not only drought tolerant or California natives, but climate appropriate to Santa Maria. Other sustainable items as permeable paving, and that's we are proposing a gravel interlock system that will be used within the parking areas and the driveways and also the maintenance yards, which I did not discuss, but it is there. So there is a maintenance, actually it's on the other side, but it's next to Battles. There is a, there we go. Yes, so at the bottom there, you can see we have a maintenance building, which is approximately 2,000 square feet, and the yards for a total of about 10,000 square feet of maintenance area, because we were told that 3,000 isn't enough. And like I said, with that, we will also use permeable paving where we can, but we are assuming that some of that will need to be hardscape in addition. So in terms of other sustainable elements, on the property line, that's on the east side, closest to South Depot, there we intend to put bioretention basins and, wherever we can. Yeah. And in terms of the park itself, I just wanted to, I think what's important to know is, although it's called, the sports complex at this point, it really is not only a sports complex, but it's also a community park. And once the Blosser Ranch development is in place, it will become a neighborhood park. It's going to be an area where, people will have obviously games and things like that their kids will participate in or that they will participate in, but it's also going to be a place where you can go and take your dog for a walk, or you can go and exercise at, at the adult fitness, section that's in the center of it, or like what I like to do is during lunch break, I like to take my lunch and drive to a park and just sit under a tree and read my book while I have lunch. So as I said, it is a park that, there's something for everyone, and we hope that the design that we're presenting today meets with your approval, and that it will be something that your community will enjoy for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and go commissioner by commissioner for comments, unless Alex, you have something
Yeah,
before.
that's fine, thank you.
Commissioner Milano?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. Right here, we have soccer fields. Is this going to be rugby, youth football? Would it be open up for that, or are you just lining it up for football, soccer fields?
It doesn't have to just be soccer, but I will let them address it, because it's basically grass, a grass field.
So are they at least 100 yards?
They are competitive size, not for professional, but for high school.
So we'd be able to play rugby games, youth football games, or whatever they do here?
Yes.
What, a volleyball? What do they do?
Yeah.
Volleyball.
Volleyball, frisbee, they do different stuff out
Yeah,
there.
the plan was to provide flexible space.
Okay.
So whatever the open area is and whatever sport is looking at the use.
So we have it says soccer field right there, but it's actually youth football.
It'll be
rugby.
sports, it'll just,
Yeah.
probably a better name would be sports field.
The other question I
Yes.
had here, is any of this park going to be lit up?
Not at this time.
Okay. I think Santa Maria, we have a lot of parks. We have a lot of field. We have a lot of area. One of our needs that we need in Santa Maria are lit place. We only have a few. We have Seamus, Manami, Hagerman. We have a few places that at nighttime, especially at this time of year, soccer is still gonna have no place to practice. It's not gonna help us without lights. If it's not lit, we're having 4 fields, they're not gonna be able to practice. And I know that's a different income, but at this last time, but we're spending a lot of money on this sports complex. It should be lit.
Sure. There's an opportunity, so in the budget this year, the council has authorized that 5 fields be lit. Right now, those fields are the Adam Field, the Basin Fields, and the Crossroads Fields. That's all using the city's ARPA funds. So that's the Federal Recovery Act funds. So The location is yet to be set in concrete. You know, if the council, or if your recommendation to the council is that they consider putting lights on these fields instead, that's something that could be considered. I won't say the problem, the dilemma is that we don't know exactly when these fields are going to get built. We know we have the need today. If we were to light Adam and Crossroads, it's only a lighting project, so maybe it's a 6 to 8 month project. This project could potentially take, you know, a couple of years. So that's the dilemma we're in. So I agree with Commissioner Molina that we know that the fields space is limited at night, just like now. I mean, when time changes, and that's when all the sports want to be practicing, you know, so we'll have to work on that. But that's certainly a comment that we can make and have the council consider that when they review the plan.
That's not to say it can't be lighted in the future, right? I get what you're saying, and it's a priority, but it's
Yeah,
also important that if we already have funding, that we're lighting the facilities we have. In terms of this facility, I think that's a good comment just to have, that if there's additional funding or that it's a future priority for this project.
And certainly, this would be the time to make the comment. I mean, again, the project is easily going to be $8 million, you know, and if it's another $1 million to put in lights, you know,
Might as well.
maybe it's worth the ask.
Okay.
I know that the community has been pounding for a sports complex for years, last 15, for something like this magnitude. And I don't think a year is going to hurt anybody, and we're not going to be rushed into just putting lights up in this section when we have a beautiful complex finally, we have something. And finally, if we could get it lit, we got to wait a little longer, you know. It'll be a beautiful complex. Now, it'll just be another Crossroads. It'll just be another basin. You know, we can only use it in the daytime.
I wouldn't say that.
Thank you.
And the same thing goes with the basketball courts. If you go to Atkinson, Manami Center, Security will tell you, they're packed. They're, you know, hundreds of people there playing basketball because there's only so many lighted basketball courts in Santa Maria. So we have 1, 2 half courts. We have more basketball courts there, but they're not lit. So what does that do? Nobody could use them.
So we'll just make that comment. Anything else?
Yes. Also, is this fenced off? So
Yes.
in the middle of the night or wherever, nobody can walk on it?
Well, what we plan to do is there will be fencing on both the east and the west sides. One, in order that people can't go near the railroad, and the second, which is going to be adjacent to Blosser Ranch, and that would probably be a good neighbor fence. And there are gates that are intended so that no transportation, you know, can be driven through after a certain point of time, but still people can access it by walking into the parks.
Yeah, the reason I asked is because of the, you know, the homeless and tearing it up in the fields and trying to prep it later at night. You know, this has to be fenced off. That's another
Anything
comment.
else? No. Commissioner Carey, I'll go with you for comments.
It's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
I especially, well, the art, the possible art, and also the native sustainable plantings, especially the trees. So I applaud you. It's great. Thank you.
Commissioner Lee.
Thank you. I want to just compliment what Commissioner Molina was talking about. I really want to stress the importance of multi-purpose fields as opposed to just soccer fields, because once you title it soccer, then all the other sports will not be able to use it. And while we're in the planning stages, I want to dovetail again and emphasize the importance of lighting. But if you do lighting, you need to go with multi-purpose synthetic fields, because those fields are going to be used constantly. And At UCSB, we started with one artificial turf, and now if you go to UCSB, all of the fields are turf. Because if you have natural grass and you have lights and you have that much usage, every time there's a little bit of rain like we're having today, you're going to have to stay off of that field for about a week. Otherwise, it becomes hard as rock with ruts. So while we're in the planning stage, I believe that we have an opportunity to really take pride in Santa Maria and make this something that the entire community will rally around. And we need to put the energy and the investment now for artificial turf and lighting and making it multi-purpose. Also, we need to address, if you're going to make it multi-purpose, where do you store all of the equipment such as lacrosse goals, rugby goals, and other cones and all the other equipment? I know you mentioned the maintenance yard, and that will take care of the maintenance, but you need to also make sure that we have storage for the sports needs. For the picnic area, it might be a consideration to put in some type of a PA system if they have team meetings or large picnic areas for the group gatherings. You might eventually have even, I don't know, weddings and large group events there. And did you comment much about the concession area? I'm curious what that's going to be like.
Well, the concession area you can purchase prefabricated buildings that are both concession and restroom combined. And so we thought that was probably the best alternative since, you may not want to have the concession stand open all the time. And obviously, as a central part, you're certainly going to want to have restrooms available, particularly since it's right next to a playground. And you don't want parents to have to go too far away with their children, especially when they tell you, I have to go now.
Is that area big enough to make it a combination concession and multipurpose room? I'm just
A
questioning.
multipurpose room?
Yeah, as an example, if you go to a lot of the community centers, you'll see a concession area where groups can cook or whatever, and then also have large gatherings.
Like
Yeah.
Hagerman?
Yeah.
And if you look, I can point it out on something larger if you want.
Sure.
Right here is where the restroom and concession building, is currently planned, and you have green space right next to it. So the idea that you need additional space could happen that way. We could also build out slightly further, making the arc bigger, the grass area a little smaller. So there is room for growth.
Yeah, Dennis, enlarge that up on the TV screen if you want to take a look at that area.
Again, congratulations. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Commissioner Batterson?
Well, everybody mentioned everything that I was going to mention, so I'm very happy with the design. It seems to answer a lot of our concerns, and like I said, ditto on what everybody else said, so thank you.
Can I get a reminder what the acreage is on this?
I'm sorry?
The acreage?
19.2 acres, roughly.
Okay. And I particularly like the field elevation choice. Being a neighbor to Crossroads, you see the people that are gathered, on looking for the shade. So the fact that there's going to be a lot of shade here is good. I particularly like the three plazas breakdown. I think it really gives it that complex feel that you see in other areas. Futsal, pickleball, Is that kind of the same thing, like multi-purpose? No, it's just one use.
Well, it could be. That space, there's adequate space there. Futsal is actually the largest of the courts.
Okay.
So,
So you could adjust.
So it could be adjusted depending on what your final determination is.
Probably similar to why they're soccer fields, because that's the biggest of the use. And then they could be adjusted for other sports as we envision.
Yeah, and the areas, as Susanna mentioned, they're just concrete and paint,
Okay.
basically. So if somebody wanted to bring their own portable pickleball net and paddles, they could certainly, set them up in that area. Right now, we have the pickleball complex, so we prefer that people play there, but certainly they're going to go wherever
Okay.
there's a space.
No other comments. I love it. I think being on the commission for as long as I have and having so much feedback from the community, obviously the loudest speaking groups are our soccer groups, and is one of the reasons that this is really moving forward. And I think that they'd be happy with kind of what's here, but also all the other uses in the Central Plaza. And I had something else to say that it totally, don't even remember now. About the lighting, sorry, about your comment, Alex, that if we can see what the cost is, if it's not exorbitant, that we can, add it to the project, then it's something to ask for now. I think it's a consideration, definitely.
Right, thank you, commissioners, for the input. And so what we'll do right now is, after tonight's meeting, is we'll sit down with the Wallace team and have a little bit more conversation on, things. The plan right now is that we would take your comments from tonight, the plan to the council on December the 20th. At that time, the staff will be making a presentation to the council, city staff from all the departments regarding the Blosser Ranch project as a whole. And there are a number of departments that are involved in particular amenities that they would like to see as part of the whole development. And so we'll be briefing the council on those at that meeting. So we'll try to get any revisions or comments made in order so we can present them at that meeting to the council. One of the things that we, from the staff perspective, that are important to us is that if we don't have lighting today, that we do make sure that we have the ability to bring lighting on in the future easily. One of the issues that we're seeing across city development, not just city projects, but private development, is the ability to get PG&E in and get power going. It's literally been a nightmare with our projects. And if anything holds us up, it's PG&E. The Tesla parking garage project took an extra 4 months, 5 months before PG&E was able to get settled. So it's something we need to tackle early on in the process. Other than that, the comments are all great. I agree, like what I said, on the lighting, that it's something that we should consider. We actually will have numbers from our lighting consultant. So, if the council says, well, how much more is it going to be? We could actually have some numbers to say that, a typical field with typical lighting would be X. So we'll have those numbers by the 20th, since they're working on those other fields right now.
Commissioner Lee, you had one other thing.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions or comments. In speaking of the lighting and the potential for energy, perhaps the group can also comment on potential solars. Now I'm seeing carports and over the picnic areas, that could be a solar receiving opportunity for future lighting of the fields, et cetera. And the other comment I have is, can you possibly come up with a fundraising opportunity, whether it be a brick program, naming of benches, just a variety of fundraising opportunities so that people in the community can donate. And let's make this, again, a pride of Santa Maria.
And I believe most of that would be through Play. you can do water fountains, tree plaques, benches. We can add the brick. So that's already established through play. So we could definitely market that, which we're working on.
The other component to that, and I'm sure Commissioner Millen and Commissioner Velasco remember this, is that the soccer leagues all tell us we have money for fields.
Lots of money.
Yeah.
So this is going to be put up or shut up time, pretty much. We're going to, as soon as the council approves the plan, we're going to go out and say, you want lighting? It's another $300,000 a field. How much money do you have?
Which is what teams or organizations were saying they had, so.
Yes. So now it's a matter of bringing that money forward. So we'll continue to work on that. Commissioner Lee, thank you. That's fundraising always is a good idea. We give that to Dennis to take care of.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you, Wallace Group. We
Thank
look
you.
forward to next steps.
We do too.
Yes. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it.
We'll go ahead and move on. We don't have any old business, and so we'll go to the Landmark Subcommittee
Casey.
report. Commissioner Carey, Commissioner Batterson, review of the Landmark meeting.
Dennis did.
I thought I had
Okay,
one,
but-
and I
so
couldn't find it.
we had our first Landmark Committee meeting, and it was interesting. It was kind of all over the place. We had this great couple come in, and they both had a lot of opinions,
Yeah.
a lot of opinions, and it was literal, and we probably should have sat them together, because it was back and forth, and
And they, hard of hearing.
that too, yeah. But it was a really interesting meeting. I'm looking forward to the next meeting. The things that we actually accomplished, I'll just lightly go over just because it's new to everybody. The Santa Maria Drag Strip, which is a really cool project that we're trying to, that actually Jerry Seamus, that's his baby, is the drag strip. And we're working on that as, I don't know, were we going to do a,
Well, it's located,
Foster, right,
yeah.
by the airport?
and-
Foster to Blosser.
Yeah, and it goes in the same direction as, but of course, it's not there anymore, so they're looking at doing perhaps like a monument next to it, like the one they have at the airport for the veterans, doing something like that.
And the cool thing about it is, because when I first started at the Landmark Committee, Jerry Seamus would talk about this drag strip and how it was written up in whatever, a drag strip magazine, and it was just famous. And we started talking about it, and it could actually be a place that people would come to town to just see from out of town, people that were drag strip enthusiasts. He's got some old video set to music, and he's a little kid in him. His brother did it, when his older brother, but they're just, it's really actually a great concept. So that's like at the top of the list. So, then we got some, a lot of input about the fireman's memorial, right? At Cook and, excuse me,
No, it's on.
Main
Main
and
and
Broadway. And, with the building going in, so there's a lot of discussion around that, but it's going to be preserved, and the family's been just, talked about with the contractors, but that's something that's on our radar. And that's kind of
And
what
the
we're working on.
bank.
Huh?
The bank, the ship.
Oh, gee, yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's a plaque in,
No, what do we,
what is that bank?
What-
West Fargo, Wells Fargo?
Bank of
what's it called?
America.
A
Oh, it's
relief.
Bank
It's a
America.
relief. It's actually a relief.
Yes. And,
Different one.
anyway, the plaque actually belongs to the city, but it's inside the bank, and the bank has changed hands, and so,
So many times.
yes, so we're trying to see if we can get that plaque taken down and find a permanent place in the city to put it. And Alice has been over there
She's
several
crazy over it,
times,
yeah.
trying to, get information. But I guess the new person hasn't been talked to yet?
There's a big turnover at the bank with the management. Apparently, they
Yeah.
move around a lot. But the issue also is that it probably weighs, well, it's
Oh, it's
several,
heavy.
several hundred pounds. It's massive. So
like
there's that issue. That's probably the biggest issue.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out where we can put it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's a lot of things going on with the Landmark Committee, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, we were talking about this older couple. They were asking
Boltons,
for the
right.
definitions and how things become a landmark or historical merit. And this firefighters memorial is not under our jurisdiction. And so there's things that have to be figured out as to,
And Mr. Bolton,
can
who
do
was,
for him.
is a retired firefighter,
Yeah.
had just come from, there's a convention every year of retired firefighters, and he let us know that if we don't take care of it in, a fitting manner, that firefighters were going to converge on us from all over the state, retired firefighters, from all over the state to make sure we do it right. So
Yeah.
we're on it, and it's important. It is important, and we'll,
It's on you too.
yeah.
So I asked Dennis to pull up the south part of the airport so you get an idea of what the area
The
is they're
drag strip.
talking about. It's pretty extensive area. It's the above, the one with the squiggly line through it was the drag strip, and it runs east and west. It's a pretty good size. Can you zoom out a little bit, Dennis, and see the rest of the airport? You can see the runways and that. It's a pretty good size part of the airport property. So just for context, you kind of have an idea. That site and the location and the use, probably would fit into the place of interest category, and certainly being able to do something like a plaque or a monument, would be appropriate. The Landmark Committee can take a look at that. The firefighter memorial is completely out of our hands, so we just want to make sure that I let Mr. Bolton know that that was totally between the building department, planning and development, and the developer of the project that's going to go there.
Yeah.
And they should ask for whatever it is they want. And, at this point, they certainly don't want anything to block their project or have 100 firefighters show up at a council meeting and saying, this is what we're doing. So I don't expect it to be, I expect them to be able to get what they want out of the project. It'll just be a little bit different, and
Yeah.
we won't be involved, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of, we were trying to get that across to them.
Yes.
Well, they're just afraid that when the development is done on that corner, that it would go away. And
Well, there's something else.
it's the one,
Mr. Bolton was with Mr. Newton when he
when he had his
yeah.
accident.
And
was
it
killed.
literally occurred right where the memorial or the plaque is, I believe now.
Yeah,
So it's,
it's
Sentiment.
the area
Yeah.
that he's concerned about.
the
Yeah.
absolute spot. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a big issue.
The reason for my question is, does it have to be in the corner, or could it be at this new park somewhere? Or could it be-
Well,
No,
this
the-
is something he'll
yeah,
have to
that's
work out.
Not, it's out of our
because
hands.
It's
so.
not a historical site or a historical merit or landmark, and it never has been. It's a memorial, just kind of like the Veterans Memorial by Abel Maldonado. It's not designated,
Right.
and they thought it was designated, and so.
I do have some other questions. For the land-
Can you turn on your mic?
I had a gentleman come up to me once, and he was commenting that the house that he lives in Santa Maria is really old and very historical, and if they were to donate it to the city, what are the opportunities for it to turn into a historical museum or something that would so the entire community can benefit from? So are those things that the Landmark Committee are talking about? What makes a building a landmark potentially?
Yeah, yes, you can actually, we have a website, a great
Okay.
website now, and it gives the perimeters.
Okay,
And he could submit.
okay. And
Be-
another-
Because houses are particularly hard, because once it becomes a historical site or landmark, it has to abide by certain conditions, and a lot of people, if they're still living in the house, they don't necessarily want that designation because they don't want somebody else telling them what they can or cannot do. But if he's thinking of donating it, and then it could be something.
Another example is, in most cities, one may still see the Carnegie Library building, which most of them have been converted to museums. I do not believe we still have one in Santa Maria, but it would be nice to, I don't know, see more landmarks. I'm really curious about the Enos House still. How's that coming along? Get a lot of questions from the community members about that.
I think Enos House will be in our capital projects report, but
Okay.
It is.
Carnegie Library, I thought you,
So that's the location of the current library. Well, I should say, the old library is where the Carnegie Library used to be. And the Carnegie Library was damaged in earthquake and was not meeting standards, so they took it down and they built a new library. I believe it was like in 48, 49, somewhere around there. And then the other part of the library was added in the 50s. So that's the building directly south of this building. So, yeah, they didn't keep it for whatever reason. Didn't feel like it was something they wanted to have to
Got
retrofit.
rid of all of our treasures.
well, thank you for that first update, and we'll look forward to the next one. We'll go ahead to Director and Management Staff, Budget and Human Resources update. Neville?
Good evening. I'll start with budget update. You'll see in your handouts that we are operating under budget so far through 1/3 of the year. We continue to work with the Finance Department to clean up some discrepancies in the budget that the council approved for us. And it's an ongoing process. I don't know if it'll end before the end of the fiscal year, but we'll continue to work with them. And I find that they are at least willing to talk with us and try to help us, get to the budget that we actually requested. But so far we're doing well with staying under budget. A lot of that also has to do with, as you'll see on the next part of my presentation, we have a lot of vacancies, and so that's also why we are under budget. So currently, we are running several recruitments that are in different stages. Some haven't opened yet. Some are at the interview stage. I'm not going to go through every single one, but if anybody has any questions on any of them, please feel free to ask. But I do want to highlight the asterisk for the city ranger, the park services officers. One of the things we've been working on is trying to, wanting to hire more full-time rangers. We have a few part-time ranger positions that, that are vacant right now. And in an effort to improve on retention with our recruitments, or actually just in an effort to get better candidates, quality candidates, candidates who are willing to actually stick it out with us, we elected to try to combine some of the funding for these part-time positions to trade them for full-time ranger positions. and it's gone all the way through HR. They've approved it. It's on the agenda for City Council next Tuesday, where we're expecting that they'll approve it, and we'll be able to hire 4 newly minted full-time city rangers. And that's going to help with some of these things that were talked about earlier, like with the tobacco program.
Awesome.
Any questions on any of the recruitments or hiring?
Yes, Commissioner Lee.
Commissioner Lee.
A while back, we had a discussion about the pros and cons between hiring skilled trades mechanics internally versus continually to sub out and hire outside people. Is there any development with that? I don't know the job description for these positions, so can you comment
Yeah.
on that?
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Yeah, we talked a little bit about how to do that. There were some tasks that are being performed right now that, 2 things, quality and consistency were the big issues that we had. When Assistant Director Fulgoni was here, that was one of his focuses that he was trying to move forward on. It has basically gone to the back burner for right now. It's still a concern for us, but there are so many other things going on and nobody to spearhead that one that we're kind of holding off, but it will come back.
Thank you. Thank you, Noam. Noteworthy activities are in your report, and we'll hold off on those till you do your recreation if there's questions. Alex, Director's report.
Thank you, Commissioners. So I just finished talking about Brett's position, and so we will be conducting interviews for the Assistant Director position on Monday. That'll be the preliminary review. That'll be with a panel of outside experts, and they'll whittle down an eligibility list for us, and then we'll take a look and see what the eligibility looks like. So that's out there, which is, it's great because they're moving quickly. Although, Brett's been gone 9 months already, so to get an assistant in soon would be great. So that's kind of the priority going on right now. We handed out the org chart last meeting, so I didn't know if there were any questions on that. We're going to update it a little bit and get it out to you again. We're going to put some names to the jobs so that we know who the people are. It'll probably be a bigger sheet, but we just, for that purpose, it was just to say how the breakdown was going to be with our 3 business program leaders in the divisions that they manage. So we'll be working on that and getting that out to you later. The commissioner, the California Association of Park Recreation Commissioners and Board Members, you got to get in a short in the name, Commissioner Carey. Their applications are out for their annual award and recognition, and I brought it out. So here are the categories: outstanding board or commission, outstanding individual commissioner. We have an alumnus of that award in Commissioner Carey. Let's see, an outstanding professional. There's also a project one I thought that we did last year when, well, I don't see it on here.
Could we get that emailed to us?
Yes, yeah, I'll forward you the email when I get back to the office. Yes.
Or tomorrow?
Yeah. So anyway, the conference is in San Diego this year. Right now, I don't know, Commissioner Carey, if you have any other new information, but the board, because of lack of funding, they weren't going to do an actual session at the conference this year. So I'm not sure how they're going to do their awards. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, we had a meeting last week, actually, an in-person meeting. So that was going to be part of my, but
Good.
I,
You can do it like that.
well, I mean, but in regard to that question is, I think everything's in flux right now, that there's new people coming in on the board. So it's kind of, we're definitely going to have a meeting. I don't know about the dinner yet, or, the awards. It's not cast in stone.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. And I believe that was it for me. Let's see, did I have anything else? Nope. I'll hand it off to Mr. Smitherman.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. I think this is the quietest I've been all night. Any questions about the noteworthies?
Very noteworthy.
Very noteworthy, thank you. Just to add a couple of things, we had a great Dia de los Muertos celebration last weekend, a really fun event. We expected the numbers to be down due to the location, and we were correct. But we had planned for that, so we had some great activities and programs during the course of the day. Our altars were set up in Shepherd Hall this year. Quite a beautiful display of altars this year. We anticipate about 2,000 to 2,500 people came through, had some food, looked at the altars, enjoyed the entertainment. It was a good day, a little windy in the morning, which caused a little chaos, but no one else knew but us, so we got all that taken care of, and the public seemed to have a really good time, and the entertainment was great. So, some upcoming events I'd like to share with you is the tree lighting on December 2nd, pretty typically held at 5:30 in the evening. We'll have the Elks Recreation Golden Circle there. Those kids are usually fighting a terminal illness, and they will help us light the tree again this year. And so we'll be hosting that again here in front of City Hall, typically at 5:30, but we'll get you the formal invitation out soon. We're also going to be working with Elks Recreation starting December 9th for the holiday light display at the Elks Event Center. So we'll have the event open for the first week on the 9th and 10th, which is the Friday, Saturday. And then the next 2 weeks will be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday for people to drive through. So I'll have more information for you as that comes up too. Really quick, I still have a couple of other projects we're working on that are recreational, right, in place. So one of the things to talk to you about tonight was the Pocket Park projects. We have a couple of pocket parks that are coming up. The first one is the Joy Street Pocket Park, which we've talked about in the past. Staff have gone out and held 2 community meetings. The first community meeting was to really just listen to hear what the community wants. And they had a small group, but we tagged about 200 homes with door hangers to invite them to this meeting. It's a great neighborhood. They're very active in their neighborhood. So we had about 25, 35 people come to the first meeting and share. Just listed, just took the list. We gave that list to our landscape architect, who then came back with some options. And then recently we took those options back out to the community for a second meeting. And so I want to share with you the one they picked. Concept number 1 was a nature playground. Is everyone familiar with the location? It is a pocket park is anything less than an acre, so it is a small location. So you'll look at some of these concepts, and it makes it look huge. We'd obviously have to scale back, but so the first concept that they got to choose from was this nature playground, including a real, wild-looking, natural sort of area for kids to play in. The second concept was this sculptural playground with a lot of great design, curves, just an overall fun design. And then we have the Hacienda Garden with the bright colors, the art, the tile work. And overall and overwhelmingly, the community picked design number 2 for the sculptural playground. So we're really excited to move forward. Our landscape architect, spit it out, Dennis. Landscape architect on this is Baxter Miller. So he is moving forward with design 2. And with that being said, we're already actually starting to move forward with the second pocket park and working on a timeline to get out to that community to see what their wants and needs are for their local park. That one's on Taylor Street, if I remember correctly.
Miller and Taylor, yes.
Miller and Taylor, thank you. So we are starting the process on that park as well. As you know, our summer season for recreation is over, but that doesn't seem to mean anything. We are busy. Most of our fall and winter classes are already full. Our OHV program filled up in the first day. Our golf programs have filled up in the first 2 days. We can't seem to be offering enough right now as far as programs and activities, but we are doing our best. So we'll continue that. Our new recreation guide will come out in January, and I'll be sure to send you guys the link for that as well. And we were able to distribute it to approximately 9,000 participants that have registered in programs through our ActiveNet software that we're currently using. So that went out earlier this week in both English and Spanish.
Thanks, Dennis.
That's my report. Thank you.
Casey.
No questions, Dennis? Okay, so briefly wanted to touch upon the capital project update. So there were some pages circulated to the group so that we can maybe reference this or ask any questions, but I'll do my best to kind of summarize. Probably won't go through every single thing, but if you have questions, let me know. So the Chapel Plaza is nearing completion. Basically, the main portion is complete. Now, there is a slight defect in the stage, which has a crack in the concrete. That's going to be addressed with an overlay. So I expect that plus the punch list, I think, is going to be completed sometime in the month of November. Really, the last portion is going to be completed by the parks side of things. It'll be the east lot landscape renovation. So it's going to be that remaining lot that's going to be shared, and all that landscaping is going to be freshened up and really match the main plaza. So we're expecting for that to more or less be done by the end of December. Things are flexing a little bit. I think there's still an electrical component out there that's got to be added or replaced, but that's progressing. Next is the Civic Center landscape renovation. So design work is underway, and we're told that we should have concepts, so something to look at probably by the first week of December. I think November 18th is what they're targeting for that, but then of course we're going to get into the Thanksgiving holidays, so that's right around the corner. The Presker Trailhead, so the design is complete there. Construction should begin sometime this month, and really I think we're expecting, 30 days or so, Alex? Not too long. I don't know where we are on that sign. What are we expecting as far as the duration for that sign?
We're doing a really great custom sign out there using some grant funding. It's going to be colorful and laser steel cut, so we are expecting a little bit longer, but all the verbiage has been picked out, explaining the flora and fauna of the area, and just working on the final pictures before we send them to print on graffiti-resistant tiles.
Veterans Memorial, not a lot there as far as an update. I think the expectation is that we'll break ground sometime in February of '23. And we're really looking for about a year for that project, right, Alex? The Smith Enos House, I know there's some interest there. Alex is probably better positioned to answer any questions on that, but the dates are there. And then, of course, the Presker Park Path Trail, so that's going to be the new trails so that hopefully we don't have all the exercising going on in the park roadway. And that'll wind around the park. And then, of course, the irrigation updates. Expecting to break ground on that January of '23. And I don't know, Alex, how confident are we in the time frame for that? I know that's flexing a little bit, but.
No, it should be pretty good time frame.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only issue we have to decide is if we're not doing the irrigation connection, what are we doing with that? What are we going to propose to the CDBG people that we can use that money for an alternate project there?
Okay. Okay, and then Fletcher Skate Park, I don't know if anyone's driven by that recently, but that's, it's got all the equipment out there, so that's underway. I think we're expecting to have that installed by the end of December, right? So we should be ready for grand opening or reopening in January. And then also the futsal court at Buena Vista Park. So that has been poured. I don't know what our expected completion date is there. I know Dennis has been overseeing that.
Yeah, so December 16th, they're going to get out there and install the walls of the modular system. And then right after that, they'll get out there and pour the acrylic similar to what you see on a basketball court at the end of December. So we're looking to open that in January as well, weather dependent.
Okay, so are there any questions? And I'll try and answer on those, and if not, then we'll go into a couple of other quick things.
Questions?
So Commissioner Lee wanted an update on the Enos House project. So where that is right now is, I think I mentioned it before, but to recap. So there were two separate projects. There was the park and the house, and then there was the Japanese Community Center. Public Works feels that it would be beneficial to move forward with both projects at the same time. So, we're not putting something in and then having a contractor come in and mess it up to get to their project. So the plan is that that project will probably be bid either December, January timeframe. And once that's put out to bid, then usually another 30 to 60 days for responses. Hopefully looking at getting under some kind of construction by the spring of next year. It all depends, on there. So right now, the house is buttoned up weather-wise, so today's rain shouldn't have caused any problems. We are going through the materials that were removed from the house prior to basically the gutting of it. There was a lot of woodworking that were saved, and those are all being categorized now and how they're going to be reused. We've done some, you're going to see some outside work done, details to the building. We want to get those done so that we can have the house painted. Right now, it just has a sealer coat on it. That's the white that was put on a few months back. It'll actually be painted. Sherwin-Williams is donating the paint for that project, and Alex Farrell Painting, he's donating the labor to paint the house. So you should probably see that happening in December sometime. So the house will be pretty much buttoned up. The doors, we found some replica doors for the front doors and the exit doors, so we're working on getting those done. We're doing that not in-house, but we're using our general contractor to do those kinds of repairs. And then when the project goes out to bid, one of the components will be the actual finishing off of the inside of the house. Right now, if you walked in, it's just studs everywhere. So electrical, plumbing, and drywall and finishes will all have to be done. We'll put that in as an additive alternative. So if there is sufficient money, we'll go ahead and do the inside work. If there isn't, at least the outside will be ready, the grounds will be in, the parking lot will be in, and the community center will be built. So those are the components of the project as it stands right now.
That was another project that came up at the Landmark Committee, was about designating the Enos House. Is that something we should do ahead of time and then, or wait till all the work is done?
So it's my recollection that the Planning Commission did approve it as a historical site. They had to do that in order to have it exempt from certain building code requirements. So that was done, but there will be the opportunity to put the stone in the plaque designating it as, I think it's the city's 15th or 16th historical landmark. So the logistical work of it has been done. Now it's just a matter of getting the plaque and things placed.
Okay. That's was kind of my memory, because I had remembered reading all the
And you remember that's how you both ended up on the Landmark Committee, so there could be a vote.
30-some pages that I read, and so, but nobody else seemed to remember that, so I wasn't sure if I dreamt that or what.
Thank you. Did you have something else?
I'm sorry?
Did you have something else?
Just very briefly, so I just wanted to give a little bit of an update from the field on some of the work that goes on, more on the maintenance side of things. Rick Garcia, one of our very hardworking folks on our team, you know, he's out there, it's a thankless job, and he gets stuff done, and I'm always asking him, hey, can you send me some pictures so that everybody can kind of see what's going on? So I finally got him to send me some pictures last week, so I just want to share a few. So as you look at this, this is Antone Lane, so this is up near Sway Crossing and Seaward. So they've done some landscape renovation up there by adding some new live oak trees. There's a little more in that same area. So obviously small now, but you know, very soon they'll start to grow into these big, beautiful trees that we all hold so dear. Also, that same area, Seaward, as you recall, and I know Commissioner Carey lives up in that area, a lot of turf up there that's got to be replaced. So as that's happening, this is what that new look is going to be. So you're going to see some pretty large zones up there where that has been accomplished, and that's going to continue. That's sort of filler work as we, you know, can't get something done on a project because of rain or otherwise, you know, they'll go in and fill with this work as appropriate. So this is, let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong. So we've got some new landscape trees. So this is near Pearland Park on Broadway. There was some median work done there. So there were a couple of medians that were combined. So this is the new look there. So we've got some new trees in that area. Really been doing a lot of maintenance work down at Hagerman Sports Complex. So there were some old chairbacks that were kind of getting old and broken and really just needed to get rid of those. So that's been handled. A little bit of a before and after here. So you've got some shade structures down there that require power washing, which seems easy enough, but these things are up pretty high. And so by the time you get a lift and the machine and a helper out there, you can sort of see what the before and the after looks like. Here's some more of that. They've also gone around the city and they've had to bring the depth of the wood chips up in the playgrounds, sort of a safety and aesthetics. So a number of locations there: Hagerman, Miramonte, Rotary, Manami, Fletcher, Joe White, and they're going to continue around the city. Updated some accessible signage down there. So some of those were faded, broken. So just little stuff like this really goes a long way. There's some more turf replacement. This building, Rick was sort of laughing with me because he said, well, it just looks like a building that needs some new paint. And while that's true, what he was trying to depict here is this thing it had a lot of moss on it. So they took a couple of days and they did, you know, pressure washing on the entire building. And hopefully we'll get with Public Works and get some fresh paint out there before too long. And then just the last one here is the curbs out there. If you go out and, you know, you'll sort of see the difference between the old curbs and the new. And it always makes a difference when people see the fresh paint. Well, it looks newer and cleaner, but also they seem to adhere to the rules a lot better. So if it's a red curb that looks like the one on the right, they tend to follow the rules a little bit better. So we've just asked him to continue the hard work and send us those updates from the field. We've got a lot of barbecues that need to be replaced or getting, you know, rusty and old. So that's kind of next. Anyway, not as new and flashy as, of course, the new complex, but we just wanted to see some of the work that goes on a daily basis out in the field. So,
Well,
thanks.
thank you. Thank you for doing that. Alec? No? Okay. So any business conducted by a member that needs to be highlighted or community interest items? Commissioner Butters.
Well, we attended the art committee today, and I did write down what we talked about. Some new projects. We're working on funding for 5 new utility boxes. McDonald's would like to sponsor 2, but we have to find a place. They would kind of like them on Broadway, but that's also Caltrans. So, and then Fletcher Park, the bathroom. Dennis talked about doing a wrap, and this is the bathroom next to the skate park. And the back wall is where they're thinking of doing a wrap. So we're trying to come up with some ideas for that. The library mural is going to be 8 feet tall by 20 feet wide. Chapel Plaza project signage which is a large area, it's 50 feet wide, and that's going to be painted, right? But graffiti proof and then, let's see, we talked about private and public art partnerships, which we have some opportunities to collect some money for art for that. And the Caltrans project downtown, crosswalks on, what is it? Broadway and Main and Cook.
Yeah, the
And
downtown.
Broadway, yeah.
All right.
And that's pretty much, I think, the design was settled on, et cetera. But there's going to be underlighting under the bridge that hasn't been there before, and redoing the mediums in that area. And then the metal banners, is that on both Broadway and Main? Between Cook and Main, okay. And those were designed by the graphic artist that works for the city.
Oh, nice.
So these are our new projects.
Nice, thank you. Commissioner Carey?
Oh, I have a few things. The Mayor's Youth Task Force, we met last month on October 13th. When we meet, we do both high schools. We do PV in Santa Maria. And it's a full house. It's very cool, the number of kiddos we have coming to the meetings. And this year, they've asked that we focus on mental health issues for them. And so Mayor Patino's is connected with a state mental health person, and they're going to bring speakers and just stuff to the kids that they wouldn't ordinarily have access to, private, for them. They're also going to be volunteering to walk the pups at the animal shelter. We want to do group activities so they all get to know each other, because we combine the two schools. Next week, we're doing our first college tour, museum/college tour, and we're going north. We're going to Stanford, San Jose State, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Berkeley. And then we're going to the Legion of Honor and the De Young, I believe. There's another museum. This is 2 days. We're doing this, I know. So that's going on for next week. The historical one, we did that. And I was going to talk about the California Association of Parks and Commissioners, which we got to meet at the Annenberg House in Santa Monica last week. It was very cool. One of our commissioners is a city council person in Santa Monica, so he got it for us for free. And
Wow.
yeah, it was just so much fun. But it was beautiful, and it was cold and misty. But we met, and it was this historical place, and we're reorganized. I'm new. This was my first real meeting with them. But we're kind of reorganizing the way they work within the system. They're trying to look for where they're going to go from here. Let's see. We had something, the Charlie Brown characters at Buena Vista Park. It's like the best. Last week I met with Mario, and he picked him up, and he got him, and tomorrow we're meeting, and we're going to see what we have to do. And we have volunteers that are going to do the lights and paint them and stuff. So we're going to have them at Buena Vista Park this year, and they're going to be it's going to be such a cool little thing to have in the little neighborhood. So that's, I'll let you know when we're going to do probably cookies and hot chocolate for the grand opening. No, this is, they live up north. But no, it's just that I don't know where these wooden characters, they're over 6 feet tall, or around 6 feet, and I don't know where they came from. I guess we've had them for years and years. They've been floating around, and they had been unavailable to us for a couple of years, and the person that had them was just not, very helpful with providing them, but we got them, and it's just kind of cool. It's like another fun Christmas holiday thing for kiddos.
Scott, you might want to contact the Schultz Foundation, see if we can get some funding for the event.
Can't hurt.
Yeah. Monty Schultz, his son,
Uh-huh.
he's in my network if you want to.
Okay, I'll email you. Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
So that. That's it.
Commissioner Milena?
I'd like to apologize. Last month I didn't make it here to the last meeting. My daughter had a baby. She was on a 5-day, what do you call it, labor? So 4 or 5 days, and then we had a baby, so I'm a
Congrats.
grandpa, first time.
Wow,
awesome.
congrats.
So I missed this meeting. Alex was yelling at me.
Unacceptable.
Excuses.
Please
Yeah,
text us
exactly
next
what I
time.
mean, I did get a chance, though, to be at Hagerman. Well, my son came down from San Jose State to play in a softball tournament, and as I was walking around Hagerman, I noticed all the cleanup stuff that was going on, because I had been there 6 months ago, and we couldn't even get the electricity to work out of the boxes, out of the score box, So I think we fixed those up, right? And we sat down at Buena Vista Park yesterday, I don't know, last week sometimes, and we had lunch there. So we walked around, and it's not the same place that I used to hang out with, Pretty nice, huh? So thank you guys, doing a good job. That's it.
Commissioner Lee?
Thank you. I just received the most current issue of the Athletic Business magazine, and they're featuring their 42nd Annual Facilities of Merit. If you've never seen this magazine, I've used it for many years to help with our facilities. We always think about the traditional facilities, gymnasiums, fitness centers, et cetera. But it's also nice to look at what are some of the newer trends. As an example, adventure ropes courses are popping up all over. And it's always nice to see how other facilities are being built or planned out. As an example, when I heard about this presentation today, a little while ago on social media, someone had posted something about Horace Grant, who's a well-known basketball player, formerly with the Chicago Bulls. He lives up in Oro Grande, and supposedly this person wanted to give Santa Maria a new facility. So I had it all mixed up. I thought maybe that was going to be the presentation. But regardless, I was thinking, if you look through the facilities in here, you'll see a facility that's funded completely by a community credit union. And, prospectively, that can become the Costco, Santa Maria Costco sports field complex. So I'm just giving out ideas, suggestions that perhaps whoever's working on this project and future projects can consider. I'm going to go ahead and leave this for Alex, but please take a chance and look at this magazine. It's pretty amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a community interest thing that Mayor Patino, I just remembered. She asked, I don't know, she might have called you, but she'd asked me to bring to the commission that we should be thinking of naming something after Teresa at some point, and I'm sure you've already got that in your head anyway.
Yes, we're
Okay.
working on that project.
Good, okay.
You want to elaborate on that? I apologize for being naive, but Teresa?
She was a former recreation manager for the department for many years and recently retired, and I don't know how much else you want to say. Yeah.
She's my neighbor.
Yes, Teresa Rayburn. Not Cindy.
Oh, no,
Teresa.
that's
Yeah.
Teresa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my turn, sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Play met this month, and a lot of the things that you're all discussing were part of that. The art boxes, skate park reopening, Chapel Plaza, tree lighting ceremony coming up, light sites and holiday nights. I want to remind commissioners, we need 2 judges, because then night before, we're always struggling. So if anybody's really excited to do it, we need 2 judges. I don't know what night, but somebody will contact us, so think about it. We're revamping our sponsorship package through Play. And lastly, our next meeting in December will be our joint meeting with Play, looking at a lunch meeting with key staff members and Play and Commission. So look out for that, December 13th. With that, we'll go ahead and adjourn.
Thank you.